in 1990, there was a study by the Survey Center of American Life that found that 27% of Americans reported having fewer than 3 close friends. So in 1990, 27% of people said they had fewer than 3 close friends. In 2019, that same Survey Center on American Life found that 49% of people now reported having fewer than 3 close friends. Another study found that 1 in 5 men report not having one single close friend. In 2020, there was a study that found that 36% of all Americans feel serious loneliness, including 61% of young adults feeling serious loneliness, 51% of young mothers with young children feeling serious loneliness. What I'm trying to show you is that loneliness is increasing. And you may not feel it, but statistically the person next to you is. You may not feel lonely. You may not think the people around you are lonely, but what statistics would tell us about American life and American culture is that loneliness, social isolation, these things are increasing, and we have to recognize that they're also forming our souls. Loneliness and isolation shape us in ways that we're often unaware of. How many of you remember in the year 2000, a movie came out by Tom Hanks? That movie was Castaway. How many of you remember Castaway? So in that movie, Tom Hanks is this guy who has a plane crash, and he lands on this island all alone. And he tries to survive on this island. And as you watch the movie, you slowly watch Hanks lose his sense of self. He starts talking to what? He starts talking to a volleyball. Wilson, that's right. In his book, The Rise and Triumph of the Modern Self, Carl Trueman talks about how previously our identity was formed in community. But right now, the way that our American culture operates is that we think our identity is self-discovered, that we discover who we are apart from others. But if you look at Tom Hanks, apart from others, he lost his sense of self. I think Castaway is a description or an analogy for why God says in Genesis 2:18, the Lord God said, "It's not good for man to be alone." It's actually not good for us because it deforms us. God made us for each other. Prolonged isolation forms you and I negatively. God made each one of us for each other, and yet our cultural practices and our enemy wants to pull us apart. So in Romans 12:2, Paul tells the church in Rome, he says, "Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind." Don't be conformed to social isolation. Don't be conformed to thinking that your identity is shaped apart from others. This is how our culture operates now, but God says it's not good for man to be alone. It's really interesting in that Romans 12:2 verse, Paul uses the verbs don't be conformed, but be transformed. And both of those verbs are second person plural verbs. So it's almost as if Paul is saying, don't be conformed, y'all. And then he says, but be transformed, y'all. He's not just talking to you as an individual, he's talking to us together. Our formation is not in isolation. Our formation is in togetherness. Why do you think Jesus brought 12 guys together in a group? He had them follow him for 3 years. He talked and walked with them. They slept together and fought together, walked together, talked together, laughed together, fought together. They grew together. And if you look at the New Testament church here in Acts 2, it was immediately recognized by its togetherness. And it was formed through its togetherness. Why does it all work this way? Why do you and I, why are we shaped and formed in our togetherness? Well, C.S. Lewis in his book, The Four Loves, has a great quote about how in community, we bring out different parts of each other. Here's what he says. He says, "In each of my friends, there is something that only some other friend can fully bring out. By myself, I'm not large enough to call the whole man into activity. I want other lights than my own to show all his facets. Hence, true friendship is the least jealous of loves. 2 friends delight to be joined by a third, and 3 by a fourth. Because in community, we draw out different parts of each other that in isolation or just one-on-one, we cannot draw out. So together, we are formed. Together, God shapes us. It's in our togetherness that transformation happens through the work of the Spirit.